Jeff Allen Wolf back with you with another episode of A World Gone Mad, Season 2, Episode 52. And I want to welcome all the existing Wolfpack members and the new people that are joining me on a daily basis. And I'll explain that in a moment. This is the first week where I start uploading new podcast episodes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now I'm doing new episodes 3 times a week. Yeah! I've been going for a year once a week, and now we're going to triple that. Some of you will receive the podcast Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays, depending on when you check your emails or texts or your link notifications. And if you're joining me from Bluesky, give me a shout out. You could text to some of the apps that you're using if it has that feature on the app that allows you to text me. Or you could email me at wolfpacklistener@gmail.com. Now, when you text me or when you email me, I would appreciate it if you leave your first name and city and state, or the country if you're outside of the United States where you're listening to me from. Age range would be nice to know. The age range is helpful. Give me that courtesy, please. I went away from Facebook, and now I'm on Bluesky because I believe in freedom of speech. How about you? Do you care about freedom of speech? I hope so. Now, the reason why I say that is because Facebook was not allowing me that. Freedom of speech, posts, links, they were deciding, what we're allowed to say. Republicans were deciding what Democrats were allowed to say. So that's why I'm on Bluesky. Let me set a little background about myself to the new people listening from Bluesky. I'm a veteran television and radio broadcaster with over 40 years experience, and now do this weekly podcast, A World Gone Mad. I'm different from other podcasters. I don't do mock controversy. If you're a podcaster that does that, good for you. That's fake. You don't need to do that if you're good. I don't spin. I don't create phony narratives. I'm straightforward. I say things as I see them. If you don't agree with me, tough. Tell me differently. Text me, email me. And to the Bluesky listeners, here is a toll-free number. You could leave a comment 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from America or Canada. No one is picking up the phone. It's just a voicemail system. So who's going to be the first person from Bluesky that's going to leave a voice message with their comments? Here's the phone number, 833-399-9653, toll free. I'm going to be me, and if you want honest commentary from someone, then keep listening to my podcast. So with that out of the way, let's get to what's happening in the last few days. Israel and Hamas agreed to a Gaza ceasefire and a hostage deal. Now, Israel and Hamas agreed to a deal that will pause fighting in Gaza, lead to the phased release of hostages and Palestinian prisoners, sources said. Implementation is likely to start on Sunday. Hamas is expected to release 33 hostages during the first phase of this emerging deal. Hundreds of Palestinian prisoners are set to be released from Israeli jails at the same time. The release of the hostages would be the first phase of the deal being finalized. Negotiations to reach the second phase, which is intended to end the war, would begin on the 16th day of the implementation of the deal. Now let's hope there are not any disruptions to this first part of this deal by outside instigators. We all know this is a cause for concern that people who do not want this peace agreement will create disturbances, will try to blow things up figuratively and literally, and this could turn very deadly. The Senate confirmation hearings continue with Donald Trump's clown car unloading in front of the Senate. Look, I don't want any of Donald's nominations to be confirmed. They're not qualified. But the reality is most, if not all, will be confirmed. Democrats and Republicans seem to have no problem ready to confirm Senator Marco Rubio. At least his nomination is not as ridiculous as some of the nominations that Donald has made. And some of the back and forth between Democratic senators And some of the nominees are contentious. For example, Pam Bondi, who's in line for Attorney General, was making a lot of false statements about January 6th, what else is new, and election fraud in Pennsylvania, yet she has no proof. If you're watching the Senate confirmations, I'm assuming that it probably ramps up your anger and pisses you off like it does for me. And this is where we have to realize that this is a dog and pony show. The Senate confirmations are a dog and pony show. No question. Republicans are going to ask softball questions to all the nominees from Donald Trump for the various cabinet positions. Now, Democrats are going to push back where they feel it's appropriate, and nothing's going to get resolved other than all confirmed. And it frankly sucks. The clown car from Donald will be overstuffed with the majority of his cabinet positions filled with unqualified people that do not belong in charge of these important cabinet posts. But there really is nothing that can be done. These next couple of days and weeks, all for show. Nothing will change. They will kowtow to Donald. They will genuflect to the king in making. Look, what I care about, and I'm sure you, the Wolfpack listener, cares about, we are not going to agree with the policy of the Republicans put in charge of these cabinet posts. But at least pick somebody who knows about defense, somebody who knows about voters' rights, somebody who knows about the EPA, or food, or health, or energy, or climate change, or you name it down the line. Don't agree with your policies, but don't put people who have no clue into cabinet posts to run those posts that have no idea what's going on. Joe Biden, in an interview, expresses disappointment with Nancy Pelosi. We were friends for 50 years, Joe Biden says. If you recall, Nancy Pelosi was stirring up the pot, suggesting Joe Biden should step down before the presidential race began in earnest. This was really late in the game, and Jill Biden stated in an interview recently she's mad about this, how it took place. I have some Democratic friends who felt the same way. And they argue that how dare the Democrats turn on President Biden. Guys, you got to stop it. Joe Biden in reality was too incapacitated energy-wise and mental capacity-wise to continue. By me saying that, and Nancy Pelosi stating that, and other people stating that behind the scenes, this was not a put down to President Biden. It was a reality check. You know, sometimes the Democrats blind themselves to what's happening in real time, and that's a shame because we give openings to the Republicans, just like we did in this presidential election. We didn't allow Kamala Harris to get enough of a head start to take on Donald Trump. We left her with ridiculously short time to mount a campaign. Because some die-hard Democrats were supporting President Biden and just wouldn't take the rose-colored glasses off, and realized it was time for Joe to step aside, step down, pass the torch. And he wasn't forced out, despite what multiple people are telling me. And Joe was forced out. He needed to leave because we needed new energy in the race. Not that this made much of a difference, obviously, in the outcome. So Joe Biden and others can be as mad at Nancy Pelosi all they want. But Pelosi and myself were expressing what a lot of us had felt. Now, if you haven't read or heard this, please pay attention. The FDA bans red dye number 3 from food, drinks, and ingested drugs in the U.S. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has banned the use of red dye number 3. That covers, like I said, food, beverages, drugs, more than 30 years after scientists discovered links to cancer in animals. The agency announced it this Wednesday, today actually, a synthetic color additive made from petroleum, right there is a tip-off, and chemically known as erythrocene. I hope I pronounced that right. I probably didn't. Red dye number 3 is used to give food and beverages a bright cherry red color. So look over your food and drink items that you take, everyone. Make sure that red dye number 3 is not in there. This is important. You can't just say, whatever, oh well, it won't harm me, acting like you're some kind of invincible god or some kind of avatar. be proactive, and believe in the science. Hundreds of Washington Post staffers sent a letter to Jeff Bezos sounding alarm over the paper's direction. I talked about it earlier, freedom of the press, freedom of speech, just like Facebook is doing now to those of you who are still on Facebook. Happened to me. I told you Facebook was blocking all my posts and my links to my podcast and deciding what can and cannot be forwarded to my membership in the groups that I created. That's why you should follow me on Bluesky. If you're on Facebook now, Bluesky is the place to be, and the people here in the last few days have been wonderful for the most part. Big shout out to Rick. Thank you for your help. To the existing Wolfpack listeners, I'm repeating something you already know and have heard from me multiple times, but I want to let the new Bluesky listeners hear it. We have trouble for the next 4 years, obviously, starting officially January 20th. And we can't hide, we can't run, we can't pretend nothing is happening or say, I give up, or I can't deal with this anymore. I feel you. I understand. I do this on a daily basis to prepare for my podcast, so it stinks. And it's hard to deal with. And my family and I live in a red state, Arizona. How do you think that makes us feel? That when we go out to grocery stores or places, we have to watch what we say around other people? But I'm going to do everything I can on my part to fight Donald the Delusional and JD Dumbass and Marjorie Taylor Loonball and Lauren Bobblehead and all the rest of the MAGA and Trump clown car members. Democrats need to stick together. We have to stop fighting each other and start supporting each other. You, the Wolfpack listeners, and the new members from Bluesky can help me grow this podcast larger. Larger audience, bigger voice, more things can happen to spread the word on how to rally people to stick together. Post this podcast. Tell people about the link. Help. I have a lot of listeners across the country and all over the world. I hope you, the new listeners from Bluesky, will help me by doing some follows. Give me feedback, email, text, phone calls. Let me know what's on your mind. Things that you want differently on the show, people you want me to interview, etc. If you're an existing Wolfpack member, thank you for your continuing support. If you're not a Wolfpack member yet, why not? If it's because you don't know how to do it, it's in my profile on Bluesky. At the top, look for the link. It's free, guys. Takes less than a minute to do. Oh, by the way, I want to throw something out there, and this has nothing to do with politics or world and national events, so to speak. And I rarely do this, but I had to. As a watcher of the football playoffs, the NFL playoffs, how the hell can the Minnesota Vikings, with 14 wins and 3 losses, lose so badly to the Rams? I'm just saying, that was embarrassing. I had to get that off my chest. I'm not even a Vikings fan. Anyways, 2 days from now, another episode of A World Gone Mad. I'm your host, Jeff Allen Wolf. I look forward to you joining me. And until then, stay hopeful.
There is chaos.